have been asked, by, a few members of my community, some of my friends, they say, "And how are you teaching Black history?" Well, it was enough of you guys who asked me about this, and I just want to share briefly what I'm doing as one educator to celebrate culture, customs, and Black History Month. So, I am teaching the Odyssey by Homer right now. The Odyssey is an ancient text, and it explores the culture of the ancient Greek people. It's actually a very beautiful, epic poem, and the themes that are in the Odyssey are still present in our world today. That's one of the most important things that I teach my students about everything that we read. The things that are present in the Odyssey, which was written thousands of years ago, are still present today. And they will likely be present in years and years to come. That's why we still study the Odyssey. That's why we study Shakespeare. And we're able to help children see that you can relate these themes to your life. They're universal themes, and they never die. But for the sake of Black History Month, I don't necessarily focus on Black history just only during the month of February. What I have found is that it's so cool to incorporate Black history facts, Black writers, and just, older knowledge and folklore and things like that. You can infuse that into whatever your lesson plans are, whatever standards you're teaching, whatever your pacing guide discusses, whatever the recommended readings are for whatever grade it is that you teach. You can incorporate different pieces in there to help teach Black history too. And whenever I teach the Odyssey, I teach The Cyclops in the Ocean by Nikki Giovanni. Now, that poem is not, of course, about the Odyssey per se, but it alludes to the Odyssey. There, I'm able to teach an important literary term, allusion, and we are also able to compare, contrast, and look at some parallels in that poem that are in the epic poem, the Odyssey. The other example that I use when teaching the Odyssey is, of course, the suicide of Odysseus' mother, Anticlea. She is guilt-ridden for several reasons, that we discuss in class, and she chooses to walk right into the ocean and drown herself. Now, I use this as an opportunity to discuss the Igbo landing in Glenn County, Georgia, down in St. Simon's Island. It occurred in the early 1800s when a slave ship was taken over by the slaves. Once they made it to the land and it looked as though they were going to be captive and made slaves, these slaves decided to walk out into the ocean, and they committed a mass suicide. They chose to take their lives and not become slaves. And again, this is a good time to just give those little mini lessons in Black history that are comparisons or parallels, and they open up for great discussions. And here I am teaching what the state of Georgia says that I need to teach, and I'm doing that effectively. And I'm also adding in some good facts and some Black history facts, and I do this with every text. But what I do is I'll take one piece that we're working on, the big piece, if you will, and then I will take poetry from different authors, and not just Black people, but all different types of writers from different time periods, from different cultures and ethnicities. And I just infuse all of that together in order to give children a broader scope of what's really out there. I feel like it's very important for us to do that, because if we're honest with each other and ourselves, we we know that textbooks often exclude certain demographics of people, and that's not fair. Children who are black need to understand that there have been awesome and still are awesome authors and writers, as well as inventors and musicians and anything that you think of. The same is true for any culture. We are tasked with teaching all children. We have a diverse group of children. We need to understand that our educators are diverse. And for me, I know as a child, I was like highly interested in people who looked like me. And that made me feel like I could do whatever awesome or fantastic or magical thing that it seemed like they were doing. It's about having conversations sometimes that are a little bit difficult to have because we're not used to having them. And whenever we do that as children or adults, it can make you uncomfortable, but that's okay. Because if you're level-headed and you have needed conversations, then you can come up with viable solutions. And I feel that all children, when they come to school, they need to understand that they are welcome, they are special, they have the power and the ability to be and do whatever it is in the world that they want to do, as long as they are willing to develop a plan and implement that plan. And one of the ways, especially in younger children, up through high school, is to see that people just like them have done great things. So this is how I incorporate Black history into my classroom. And as I said earlier, no, I don't just do it during the month of February. I do it all throughout the school year. It is received very well from all of my students, and is a fantastic time to not only teach literature, but to teach culture and to teach life lessons and tolerance and how all of these things are very important. Every child is important, no matter where he or she comes from or what he or she may look like. We are all important, and it is very important that we show children whenever we can that people who look like them and who may have had obstacles and challenges similar to theirs were able to still be successful. And I feel like the more that we start to do these things, we will see an outcome that will make us all proud.